Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
I mean, look.
All right.
Everyone who's listened to TNP Studios programming over the past 12 years knows I am a fan of pedantry. I am a pedant myself sometimes with very specific things. But even I don't think we need to drag ourselves down in the discourse of what constitutes a literal bribe versus what is just like something that looks improper but is probably maybe fine.
Well, and this is why you'll never work for the New York Times.
That's why I'll never work for the New York Times, thank God.
You're not a gigantic asshole. But before we get into all of that, I do want to do a little bit of inside baseball kind of information here. So this episode is going to be like 45 minutes, which is much shorter for our listeners that they're used to. It is on purpose, okay? We're going to do a mini show today. We are recording Monday, May 12th. This will come out on May 13th on Tuesday. And then we will be recording another mini episode on Thursday of this week that will release on the following Monday. The reason we're doing that is because we have to change, because of me, because I've got some shit going on in my personal life. We have to change our show release date, right? And the episodes have been coming out too late because I've got work stuff and everything else. So we didn't want to leave you guys with nothing this week and then start next week with the new release date. So we're going to record twice, but instead of trying to do two-hour shows, which is insane, we're just going to cut one show, cut it up in half. So enjoy this little mini show. Know that then in a couple days on Monday, that'll be another mini show. If you are a premium if you're a free listener, full 45 minutes of both shows will be available to you, right? Starting on that Monday, when you get that 45-minute show, that will be the beginning of the new release schedule. And so then normal episodes will come out every Monday. Okay? So just a little inside baseball. This show is going to be short. Expect another short one on Monday, and then everything is back to normal. All right. So let's get into it. This mini episode brought to you by corruption.
just out in the open,
that's it,
nakedly, baby. Like not even fucking trying to hide it at all. As I told you earlier, like that's the part that's kind of still shocking to me is just the degree to which they're just doing it out there and being like, if you have a problem with this, you're the fucking idiot. And you're just like, weird. Why are you surprised about this? And I'm just like, because Jay, I like my grifters to at least have the token appearance of trying to keep it under wraps.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
like
back in the day, they used to try to like,
do that for me.
Yeah, no, that party is over, right? Like,
yeah,
they are blatant about the corruption and they're blatant about the sort of scamming, and we're obviously going to talk about the luxury gift jet that Donald Trump has been given by the Qatari government. But they also are weird. You and I were talking about this offline. Like, they're really weird about denying reality. Like, if you're going to be so blatant about it, just fucking lean into it. Don't talk to me like I don't see what's happening. Like, that's the part.
But that's the thing is that they are. They're like Trump's out there like, oh, like yeah, you fucking nerd. Like, of course I would take this. Like, why the fuck wouldn't I?
I'm corrupt. That's what.
Yeah, and again, in reality, kind of smart that's the method that he's taking, because the current media market, like the mainstream market, turns out really dumb, and they're willing to meet him halfway on this. Like, oh, like Democrats say that this and like, no, Democrats don't say it. It's a fact. Like, it's a fact that obviously if he were to accept this jet, that it would be a huge violation of the emoluments clause. But they have to frame it as like, well, one side says this and the other side says that. Like, no, you can just say what it is.
Yeah, I don't like when they do that. Like, that's like the remember when Jon Stewart interviewed that one like state senator or something like that, or state representative? He was talking about control, and the guy's like, Stewart's like, what is the number one cause?
Right.
He's like, oh, you're going to say guns. He's like, no, don't say it like that's an opinion. That's a fact. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, you're trying to do the thing, which is what they do, which is, well, Democrats say. No, Democrats are just quoting the law, man. Like, you can't just pretend that that's an opinion.
I will say, like I said, if you've never seen that, it was an Oklahoma state senator that Jon Stewart was interviewing.
Embarrassed.
Perhaps in a long media career, perhaps Jon Stewart's like finest moment in reality. Like he had the perfect amount of indignance with that fucking guy and let him know it. And that dude looked very uncomfortable getting berated by Jon Stewart.
I mean, yeah, it is, and it is wild to say that might be his finest moment, but I don't think you're wrong. Like, it's like everyone watching that is like, ooh, like, dude, get off the TV for the love of God. Like, please just get off the TV.
Like, run away.
We're laughing at you, but also I feel sorry to watch a man be literally destroyed like on television. I can't stop watching it, but like, yikes. So I do want to read a little bit. This is a weird document. A lot of people have never heard of it. The Constitution.
Okay. This is news to me. What is this all about?
Yeah.
Is this like how good the United States is at not taking damage like when they get hit? That's the Constitution that I that's a stat that you want to dump a lot of points into to make sure that you stay standing.
America plus 20 on Constitution.
Yeah, I wish.
-5 on history and -5 on independence.
Right now we're rolling a lot of nat ones on Constitution. You understand my meaning, so.
Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8, quote, no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office or of profit or trust under them shall, without consent of Congress, accept of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from a king, prince, or foreign state. Meaning, federal officials cannot accept gifts, payments, or titles from foreign governments without the approval from Congress. This is meant to prevent foreign influence of U.S. leaders. Getting a jet from the Qatari government is not okay. It's not okay. By the way, there's been no vote in Congress about this. There's been no vote. Like, there's been nothing. And he's just like, yeah, I'm
not just a jet. A $400 million jumbo 747. And you're asking, like, why does he need this? Apparently, like, Air Force One is being taken out of commission because it needs, like, upgrades or updates or whatever. So, and it's going to be out for
which is fine.
So that's, which is whatever. Fortunately, there's a second plane in the fucking the hangar that you can use. Maybe it might make it difficult for JD Vance to get around a little bit here and there. But he can drive. Like who gives a shit? Like we're fine.
What is that? On Marine One? Who cares? Like, who gives?
Yeah, like it doesn't fucking matter. And I point out the $440 million aspect because that dollar amount I saw earlier today is 17 times more than Republicans alleged the Biden family got from like Burisma and China and all these other stuff. That was such a tragic violation of norms and laws and procedures that we had to have a whole fucking Senate subcommittee
and had to apparently see Joe Biden's son's dick several times, according to my
like that was bad. And apparently it was when and if I recall correctly, Joe Biden wasn't even in fucking office at the time that he received these fucking gifts or whatever.
That is correct,
right?
That is correct. Yeah, he was vice president. So I mean, he wasn't president.
Okay, so so he was in office then. But still, like stop the press is like, this is corruption on the highest degree. Hey, the Qataris want to give Donald Trump a $400 million plane. Nothing to see here. He's the president, of course.
It's his friend, baby. It's like, hey,
it's a nice thing to do.
$400 million jet, of course. Now, look, here's the funny thing about this. This is a Boeing jet, right? Like, so it's not like made like in Qatar or whatever, right? Irrelevant because it's coming from the Qatari government. It's coming from Qatar. Is there a tariff on that? Like, what is the tariff? Like, I mean, people are asking these very, I think,
10%.
yeah,
10%.
like, give it up.
So.
So, but in all honesty, him accepting this gift, it was like, well, that's weird and blatantly corrupt and not okay. And then people made the other point of like, surely this thing is going to have like listening devices on it and everything else. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. If I had to make a bet, I'd probably.
I mean, that's the other part of it, right? Like the thing that's not being said enough. I'm like, hey, there's a famous story about accepting massive gifts of largesse from a foreign state.
You think they should just call this thing the Qatari Trojan horse? Like, could this be any
Qatari horse?
Yeah, like fucking just they should paint a horse on the side and see if he gets it. Like, I don't know. Like, what are these guys doing in here? Like, but it's really a fucking weird thing, right? Because okay, you're accepting this, and look, to people's point, yeah, there could be listening devices. Look, make no mistake, this is a national security issue, so they're going to rip the plane down to the fucking bare bones to make sure there's nothing in it. Of course, right? Like, it would be stupid for them not to. Unless Donald Trump is like, I don't want to wait, just get that thing in the fucking air, which I could totally see, by the way.
Which he will do, which he will 100% will do. Yes, 100%. Right.
So, but let's say that he has some level of the fucking wherewithal to allow the fucking CIA or like the FBI or CIA or whoever would be in charge of that, someone in the DOJ, to rip the thing down, make sure it's clear. What amount of millions of dollars does that cost to rip all the shit out and then put it all back? Because it's not as if whatever they send, even if you're talking about, okay, they don't have to rip it down to make sure there are no secret microphones or what have you. Mm-hmm. It's not set up for the presidency. Like, no plane is. Those planes are very specific in how they're set up. Certain conference rooms got to be there. Certain, I'm sure, security setups for like, it's basically a mobile skiff and all this other shit. It's got to have a bunch of other things. That's why we don't get it from somewhere else. We get it from the Boeing factory where they go, make it XYZ, and then they send it over, and then the government still goes through and does other things. Right. Like, you are never going to get a plane. They don't. I know maybe this is hard for Donald Trump to understand, but like, you don't buy the fucking plane off the rack like your shitty suits, okay? Like, you get it custom done, right? I know it's really hard for him to understand that, but like, there's going to be an extra amount of cost. You are just driving up said cost by getting it from a foreign government, which already seems like a real bad idea. Like, it just on its face. Also, you better hope that thing doesn't fall out of the fucking sky on purpose or not. I'm just saying. Like,
well, I was going to say, like, the Qataris do have the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever, but that's besides the point. But here's the thing, Jay. I would argue that the Qataris don't necessarily need to roll a Trojan horse into Washington, D.C. To get the details on the Trump administration. So one of the things that kind of has to pass the muster here is DOJ has to weigh on in this because, of course, like you mentioned, the emoluments clause is a thing, and DOJ, of course, they're the top lawyers. They know the law inside and out, and they've determined that it's actually totally cool and not a problem that Donald Trump accepts his plane. It will violate no laws or anything like that. Important to note that the head of the DOJ, Pam Bondi, the current Attorney General, was a Qatari lobbyist in the past couple of years, earning over $100,000 a month from the Qatari government.
Christ.
Yeah. Nice work if you can get it, right?
That ain't bad. Can I read you a quote that I think is pretty fucking interesting?
Absolutely.
From 2012, Qatar hosted the Hamas party leadership when Hamas head relocated from Syria to Qatar. The former head of Hamas has resided in Doha since 2016 until his death in 2024. Quote, Qatar has been called Hamas's most important financial backer and foreign ally. But again, please feel free, hop on that plane, my guy. I'm sure everything will be fine.
Well,
The
either
people
that,
that
or they're hoping that all of a sudden the U.S. Hardline support stance of Israel maybe softens a little bit.
I wouldn't bang on that. But you're going to hop in a plane given to you by Hamas's largest financial backer and foreign ally. Look, I know the woman from ABC went on, she asked the president, like, hey, the fuck, bro, like, what are you doing? And he got all pissed off at her and was like, oh, ABC sucks, and didn't address anything she said, right? Which was a valid question she had. However, this might be it. Hey, man, you really don't like Hamas. You guys don't really fuck with Hamas like that. You're doing all this financial backing of Israel, taking on Hamas. Qatar is Hamas's number one foreign ally. Is that not a national security concern for you to take a jet from them? I bet he doesn't know this. I bet he doesn't know. I bet no one from him to Pam Bondi, none of these motherfuckers have Googled this shit. They're like, we might have made a mistake. Now, keep in mind, by the way, and this is not, I'm not trying to seed any sort of conspiracy theory, but these are facts. Iran has been reported as trying to do assassination attempts, trying to figure out an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Again, why are you getting a plane from people who are aligned with people who are aligned against you? That feels like a really bad fucking idea. Again, I'm not here to tell you not to get on the plane. I'd like you to get on it tomorrow, but I just find it really weird. Like, his greed very well may be his undoing. Like that this is amazing.
This will shock you to learn. But I'm pretty sure that it didn't get any further in his brain than, oh, someone wants to give me a real big plane.
100%.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Now they're saying.
No, I disagree, actually.
Okay.
I think it does go further than that, and we'll talk about that story
okay.
just after this.
Now they are also saying that after he is not president anymore, it will be donated to the Trump Presidential Library. I don't know how one
flying
donates
around
a massive plane to a presidential library, but okay. Just warning everyone now. I'm going to seed the ground for you and predict the future. Don't be surprised when that doesn't happen and he just fucking uses the plane. When he's done
that's 100%. No. He will. They will give it to the library, and the library will say, "Yes, you're allowed to just fly it around." That's well, who cares? Who cares? Here, I'll see this ground. I don't know if any of this will happen. Maybe he won't live long enough to ever fly in that plane after.
I mean, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Yeah, like, are they going to build like a fucking runway like at the presidential library so that the plane can land and take off? Is it just going to fucking be decommissioned and fucking sit there? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, right. Get the fuck out of here.
Will people be able to go into the plane and take a tour? Maybe the plane will be the museum or the library.
Yeah, maybe inside. Well, they doesn't have a lot of space for books.
I mean,
what is in this library? What's in this library? Right?
Yeah.
What's in this library?
Gold toilets, enemies list,
that you can read while sitting on a toilet.
Of course, naturally.
Yeah,
just a fucking line of Sharpies, like the real thick ones that stink.
I like.
Yeah, it's just like that. Yeah, that's all it's gonna fucking be.
Amazing. Like, somehow I remember thinking, surely there will be nothing in the G.W. Bush library. I bet that thing is fucking stocked with real books comparative to what the fuck is in the Trump.
Oh, there'll probably be like a kiosk where you can just buy meme coins like right there, like in the fucking library.
He's probably
can't sell it, but you can buy it.
You can buy it. That's right. You got to hold. Man. You got to hold. Yeah, I have to imagine whatever his library ends up being, it's just a grift, right? Like it's just there to make money. There is you're learning nothing about the guy. Like, you got a great golf swing. Anyway, give us $50. Like, it'll be like $100 to enter for some fucking reason. Like, why?
Yeah, they'll have like the virtual golf machine set up where you try to like outdrive Donald Trump or something like that. Like that'll be the whole
what's the golf game? What is it? Golden Tee or whatever.
Golden Tee.
Yeah, like it's just it's an empty Trump building with that in it. That's it.
The Trump, it'll be the first of its kind, the Trump Presidential Library and theme park. Like it'll be exactly. A whole fucking thing.
Oh my god! I hope it's not. I hope they build it and then it just gets fucking detonated. It's like boom, blow it up. This is useless. So here's the coincidence, Brad. Purely coincidence.
Now, this happened a couple weeks ago. I will point out for the record, but it is weird that this happened a couple weeks ago, and all of a sudden, Donald Trump's getting a jet.
Go for it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, unbeknownst to us, because this flew under the radar, because like I'm not trying to pay attention to the comings and goings of the Trump organization, in this day and age, but they have signed an agreement with the Qatari government. To build a golf course and resort in Qatar
for $5.5 billion with a B dollars. Oh, I'm sure it had nothing. I'm sure it had nothing to do with this. Nothing.
Yeah. Good thing Donald Trump completely divested himself of dealings with the Trump organization. Otherwise, this could look really suspect, especially in the wake of being given a gift of $500 million plane.
Well, as he said in his little press conference, in his little tent of hate, hey, some famous golfer that nobody gives a fuck about because that's all he cares about, once said, if somebody gives you a putt, you just take that putt. And that's a lesson you guys can learn. Okay, what does that have to do with you violating the emoluments clause? Like, what the fuck are we talking about, dude? So, yeah, no. So a $5.5 billion golf resort. And that gets done. And then all of a sudden, here comes this free plane. Like, okay.
I mean, again, like there's some people out there that I mentioned at the top of the show that are getting real pedantic about like, well, it's not actually bribery because there's no clear quid pro quo. Like, okay, sure, there's no clear one, but again, like these two stories being in sequence with each other sure seems like a real big coincidence. Putting that aside, forget a plane, right? Like, let's assume the Qatari government somehow caught wind of the Look Forward Political podcast. And they're like, man, we really like the cut of these guys' jib. We're going to give TNP Studios $100,000. And if we accepted that money...
No, fuck that. Crank that money up. Come on, man.
Whatever.
I want to get
whatever.
Millions.
Yeah, whatever. $1 million. And if we accept that money, would you trust what we have to say about the Qatari government? It would be weird because all of a sudden, like, our coverage of Qatar would probably like flip on a
wildly
dime
change,
like
or any coverage whatsoever. Like, we don't talk about that at all. Like, by the way, did you guys know Qatar? Like, we just give Qatar facts every fucking episode for 30 minutes. Right. Like, just reading from their Wikipedia. Oh yeah.
But yeah, you rightfully would be like, wow, fuck these guys. Like I don't trust them at all on this shit.
Yeah.
This is why, like, you shouldn't fucking trust anything that the president's gonna do either, because he's been given a big fucking plane, or at least that's the plan.
Yeah. Look, this is not on the docket, but this is also we did not deal with this. But you know, the Trump family also is doing this crypto venture thing that is basically a $2 billion investment deal, bribe. From the Emirates, right? An Abu Dhabi state-backed investment firm is making a major $2 billion investment in a crypto business deal that could serve as a major boost for the Trump family crypto venture, World Liberty Financial. So this shit is fucking unbelievable. They are basically just dumping $2 billion in a through Binance, right? Which is partially owned by, what is it? Not Lutnick's, the other dude, like his son.
Besant or whatever his name is.
Like his son runs that. So they're dumping the $2 billion into Binance and basically using that as a proxy to get a good portion of that to the Trump the Trump family. Yeah, it's a fucking insane, just straight up scam. Like, just a straight up scam. And everyone's like, yeah, no, that seems fine. So the guy from the New York Times, which quid pro or quo do you need? Like, what do you need? Like, there is nothing worse than people who are so focused on like on paper definitions that they cannot see that the world is moving and changing, that they're like, I'm waiting for, Chuck Schumer does this. I'm waiting for the paper definition of a, constitutional crisis. There's one happening within earshot of you, Chuck. Like, raise your
five
head.
of them happening. Like,
right. Like, just raise your head from the paper, dude. It's like, well, it's got 99.9% of the things here, but I'm still waiting on understanding and the other 0.1% to come to light. Well, that part's the corruption part that they're never going to tell you about. Well, there's no way for me to know. Like, it's like, come on, man. Like, I hate to be that where there's smoke, there's fire, but like, the house is on fire. There's fire. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
And it's not, and like when we say connect the dots, like, it's not like you have to go to this like Nixon era-esque fucking board with the red string and stuff like that. It's like a connect the dots puzzle where you just have to follow the numbers and draw the lines in between.
Right, you just make the whale. Like, it's not hard, right?
like it's not fucking difficult. And if we've said it before in this podcast, and we have, and we've probably said it dozens of times, it still remains as relevant today as it ever was. They made Jimmy Carter sell his fucking peanut farm.
Yeah. And
not that long ago.
Yeah. and look, one, it's not that long ago. Two, never forget that motherfucker, Donald Trump, literally stood in front of folders, hundreds of folders with blank sheets of paper in them and said that this is all of his divestment information. It was not. There was nothing on those pages.
I'm really upset that folders of blank paper didn't exceed binders of women in like the public consciousness. Like, that upsets me greatly.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, if I was in that room, I would have done a pratfall right into those.
Of course.
Oh,
yeah,
they're blank. Yeah, like, it's all bullshit. The emperor has no clothes. Like, it's just nonsense. But yeah, this $2 billion cryptocurrency scam is maybe one of the most corrupt, blatant things he's done. But then again, that came out before the plane thing, and then like, and the golf course. At a certain point, like, this has gotten so bad that even Laura Loomer was like, bro, this doesn't look good. Even she said this, and she's insane. Like, why am I on the same side with Laura Loomer? This like old hatchet face. This is not.
And Rand Paul. Yeah, you're in Rand Paul's corner right now.
That fucking piece of shit. Yeah. So
look, much like Ted Cruz, like Rand Paul is like, like once a year he comes out and is like, yeah, Rand Paul's making a good point. This is the only time you're getting credit this whole year. Ted Cruz also gets one of those sometimes too.
Yeah,
he has a lucid moment where he like says something about like, actually, like we really should look at regulating AI, and I'm like, holy shit, like Ted Cruz, like, what happened?
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, we should use AI to make sure people can't see what kind of porn I'm watching. I'm up.
Yeah,
like that's really you just got to go.
Ultimate, yeah,
right. You got to go one rung down. It's like, there's old Ted. He's back. That guy sucks. Yeah, it is unbelievable. Yeah, critics say Trump's luxury jet from Qatar violates the Constitution. It's not critics. It's the Constitution that says it. Like, stop doing that. Stop writing fucking bullshit headlines like that.
Yes.
It's the Constitution that says it. It's not the critics. No, it should be critics point out Donald Trump is breaking the Constitution, by accepting this jet. Stop saying critics. Like, yeah, the founding fathers, are those the critics that you're talking about?
They are.
The ghost of Thomas Jefferson? Yeah, it's just unbelievable. So let's move on from there. This story is, and this is our last. Oh no, I'm sorry. We're doing the tariff rollback. Let's talk about the tariffs.
Yeah,
they're up.
Tariffs are paused.
They're pausing.
Tariffs are paused. Yeah, turns out that despite the protestations of the current president, every American company not shipping their goods, holding them in China, was going to have pretty catastrophic implications down the road. And so
shocking.
they finally got with the Chinese government, and they have they put a pause on the reciprocal tariffs. They have rolled them back from 145% to 30%, which is still insane. I will point out for the record, in the general term of things, to just have a flat 30% tariff on anything coming out of China, still stupid, but it's certainly not 145%. And China has, in kind, taken their tariffs down from 125% down to 10% on goods coming from the U.S. to China. But it's only a 90-day pause. Yeah. So who the fuck knows where we're going to be come August when this extension supposedly runs out. I know that, again, my company, much like probably every other company, is going to use this window to try to get as much shit as we can from overseas, right? Which again is going to send container pricing skyrocketing. So basically what I'm saying is, like, if a company has raised prices in response to these tariffs, don't expect them to go down in the wake of this news. However, the stock market believes that good tidings are on the horizon. It jumped back up to, I think, like 42,000 points in the Dow today, or something like that.
Look, this is nonsense.
It's stupid, is what this is.
Yeah, it is,
because it solves nothing.
It doesn't. I like that he's using tariffs. He's using the same method with tariffs that he's using for TikTok, which is just keep kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
We're going to ban it? No, we're not going to ban it. Oh, we're going to do tariffs 145%? No, maybe 30%.
But instead of two app stores who are sitting here like, oh, what the fuck's going to happen? Every American company is that sells goods are like, what the fuck is going to happen?
Right, and small businesses cannot. They can't weather these kind of jump ups and jump downs. Like it's not. You can't, if you buy some widget that helps your business run, you cannot afford to be like, it's 145%, it's 30%, it's 30%, it's 140%. Like, you can't run a business like that. Like, no. You cannot handle those kind of fluctuations where then what? You have to blow extra money in buying these products because you're trying to do it before the 90 days happens. But then the 90 days gets here, does the can get kicked down the road again, and you have all this inventory.
And by the way, that's if the product lands within the 90-day window. As we've talked about over the past several weeks, it takes time from shit to get from China on the boat over here. So, like, and there's going to be a logjam now because everyone is going to be trying to get shit at the same time. So, like, you better hope that if you get your shit, it gets here before that 90-day thing expires, because who the fuck knows what he's going to do in 90 days time, or even before, because, again, this shit changes weekly. Right. With this administration.
And there was also a report that there were quite literally no container ships leaving for California like the other day. They said they have not seen that since COVID.
Yeah.
So to your point, even if you're dropping a pause on these tariffs, things don't restart that fast. Like, and when they do, you're going to have bottlenecks. And you're also, if you're a small business, you're kind of fucked because of those bottlenecks. Because who do you think is going to get priority? You think Nike's going to get priority, or, Jane's Widgets Emporium, right? Like, Nike, who's spending, $1 billion or hundreds of millions of dollars, is definitely getting priority on those container ships. You are not. So if you're a small business and you depend on those things, you're in a world of trouble. And by the way, you don't even have to be a small business. Just a medium-sized business, right? Like, you're in a world of trouble. And
by the way, it's important to note that while they did roll back the tariffs, what they did not roll back was the removal of the de minimis exception. So again, like, all these dropship packages are still going to get hit with import fees coming in where they didn't before, and that's still pretty important as well.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. So, him cutting these tariffs. By the way, this is a loss for him. This is yet another loss.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. China said they're fine. Right. Don't buy that much.
And they will be fine. Like, the only reason that they back down is, trust me, people are like, oh, like, they agreed. No, the U.S. blinked first. They're like, hey, we've made a fucking devastating mistake. And China's like, yeah, you're going to back down. We'll back down ours. Like, this isn't.
Yeah,
like,
it don't hurt us.
We'd like to make money.
Right. But it doesn't,
Please.
but ultimately it doesn't hurt them, right? Because yes, the United States is a huge market, and that's basically Trump's thought, right? The United States is a huge market. China wants to sell us a bunch of stuff. They do, but they know that they can hold out and sell stuff around the world around you, and they know your citizenry will not stand for empty shelves and kids not being able to have dolls and all that. They won't stand for that. Americans have gotten incredibly spoiled in their rabid consumerism. This is a fact, right? You can't just take that culture that has existed, I would argue, since the 40s, right? Like really, and I don't mean that China doing the manufacturing. I mean just rabid consumerism. Like really since like the 1940s all the way up to now.
Post World War II. Absolutely.
Right. We had a ton of money. We were just like this massive, superpower, economy. So post World War II, all the way to present, Americans have just been spending more and more and more and more and more money on all these goods. And then credit came into play, and then they spent even more. So then it's gone up exponentially higher than that. China can still sell to everyone else, dude. What do you think? You think there's no fucking Walmarts in Canada or wherever the fuck? Of course. So they're gonna sell all of their shit to wherever they want. American citizens are the big factor in why these tariffs will not work, because Americans are not going to go to the store at Christmas time and be like, "Yo, there's no dolls for my daughter on the shelf."
Well, that is the core problem, is that this administration is kind of like operating from this belief. It's like, oh, like America is the only market. And it's like, no, we're the most important market, but China literally sells to everybody. And it's a big fucking world, and other people have money too.
Yeah. I mean, look, again, do you think that China's like, oh, great, we get to lose the biggest market? No, they're not happy about it. Will they survive? Yeah. Because they can hold out longer than we can. Again, they're there going, we have the stuff. And American citizens are like, we need the stuff. And Trump is standing in the middle like, no, you don't need it. That doesn't fucking work. Have you met Americans before? Like, dude, we love buying shit.
It would be one thing, like, if you had like a great fucking plan in place to reshore all these industries that you claim you want. Again, as we've talked about on the show, it's not a good idea to reshore a lot of the stuff that China's doing right now. That's the industry you shouldn't want. But if you're like dead set on it, like if you have a plan to do it, I can kind of see where you're coming from. His plan is literally like the Field of Dreams plan. Like, if you stop the shipping, the manufacturing will come back. And it's like, no, that's not how it fucking works.
That's not how it works. Like, you need factories. By the way, you need to build factories, right? Like that's a big point, and a lot of people have obviously said that and made that point. It's the most obvious point. Here's a point I hadn't thought about that I saw made about that. Where the fuck are you going to get the parts to build said factories, dude? Like, you have to go overseas and get these things. You don't have the equipment to even spin up factories, because you're going to have to then pull that stuff. Which is why, if you were going to do this, which again I don't recommend it, but if you were going to do it, you'd start building that shit without announcing any tariffs. You'd start building factories. You would start talking to those companies like, listen, this is what we're going to do.
But you can't, because companies are going to, because again, like rightfully, companies are going to look at you and be like, why the fuck would we do that?
Exactly.
Like, it's already cheap enough as it is to get it for China. Why am I going to spend all this money to fucking build a factory where I then have to pay an American worker $10 an hour to do
a livable wage?
Right.
Going to Bangladesh where I can pay people a nickel and a half. And if they steal somebody, just lop their hand off, right? Whatever Banana Republic crazy shit you live in, right? I mean, that's the one thing that's really bizarre. Like, corporations are like, we care about America too, and we love America. Then they go overseas and they're like, make the kids work for us. Like, it's just like they don't believe in any of the shit.
Again, they have the degree of separation, because they're not the bad guy. They're just contracting labor to the factory, and the factory is the bad guy, right?
Right. It's not us. It's
we don't see. It doesn't matter. But again, and I'll
put
keep
those
reiterating
necks
that.
up so they can't kill themselves. Get back in there.
It doesn't get said enough. American companies like did this to themselves. Like the
100%.
American people are the ones that are paying the price for it. But y'all fucked yourself. Like this is the bed that y'all made. So, deal with it. But that does not excuse the idiocy of the current administration.
It does not.
Flying by the seat of their pants with all of our money in the balance, essentially.
Exactly. All right. So last story before we get out of here. And this is this is my favorite one because it's so fucking ridiculous. So I'm going to play a clip. This is how Trump introduced this idea of how he's signing an executive order to lower drug prices by 30 to 80%. Okay. This is how he let everyone know that's what's happening. I swear to God, this is not AI. This is a real fucking press conference. I love he has books behind it. That's hilarious.
And I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?
And so we're going to lower drug prices. What? Yeah. This is how he announces this.
Let me give him, look, I mean, I'll give credit where it's due. He is focusing in on a serious problem. Right?
It is in fact a problem.
I started taking semaglutide last year. Which for those who don't know what that is, that's basically like Ozempic or Wegovy or Zepbound or whatever fucking, name it's out there. My insurance doesn't cover it because health insurance in this country sucks ass. And
I can't wait. By the way, I'm Googling what it costs here at the Farmacia right downstairs from my office.
I'm sure you're are.
Going to be very angry when I tell you.
Yeah, so if I were to buy my semaglutide from Amazon, like the brand name one, it would literally cost me.
What's your brand name one?
Zepbound is what I'm taking, right?
Okay.
So it would cost me literally $1,000 per vial, which lasts like maybe 4 to 6 weeks, which is insane.
Wow.
I'm not, despite Jay's, the comments in recent episodes about like how wealthy I apparently am and affluent.
Brad is a billionaire. Brad's the guy he's talking about.
Yeah, it's true. It's not working. That's
so mean. It's so mean for no reason.
But despite Jay's assertions, I do not have that kind of money to be spending fucking $10,000 a year on weight loss medication. So I buy the compound version that my local pharmacy manufactures and sells. And even that is still like $180 per vial, essentially, of that.
Is that like how much is a vial? Like, is it?
It's like I said, it's like 4 to 6 weeks. It's like what is probably the dosage? Because my dosage is 25 milliliters. So if it lasts 6 weeks, that's like 150 milliliters essentially.
Okay, I don't know what this particular one is. Yeah, it's here. I don't know how long this would last, but here it's like one. I guess it's like 180.
And that's probably for like the brand name, right? Though.
No,
right?
That's Ozempic. Yeah, that's
what I'm saying. Like I'm getting like the fucking like great value version.
Yeah,
of the stuff.
Joe Sixpack's Ozempic. Like what the fuck?
Right, which still works. It's
just a guy who yells at you like, "Go run!" You're like, all right, well, this isn't
right. Yeah, but what I'm paying for not brand name is how much it costs in Mexico apparently to buy like the real shit.
Holy shit, dude! It's $1,000 a month.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's fucking
that's
nuts.
fucking bananas. Okay, so yeah, wow, holy shit. That's really look, man. If you want me to smuggle some across the border,
well, I might need to because apparently, like the pharmaceutical companies got an injunction in the U.S. over the companies that are selling the compound versions because they have patents on this shit. So apparently that gravy train is ending soon. So yeah, I might have to give you a call.
like, here's some cash. Just bring me as much Ozempic as you can get. Bag.
Right. But
yeah,
so this is a problem.
Look,
however,
in fairness, it is a problem, right? The problem, the larger issue, is how Republicans deal with anything, especially in the era of Trump. Trump is like, hey man, drug prices are fucking too high. They need to lower. They're giving like a 90-day like moratorium to the drug companies. I mean, like, you better lower the fucking prices in 90 days, motherfuckers. Like, that's it, right? Or we're coming. I'm sorry. Is this the same Republican Party that when Kamala Harris said that she wants to deal with price gouging, these people are like, we have the freedom to get screwed by companies. That's our freedom. You're ruining capitalism. But now Donald Trump says, we're just going to lower drug prices by fiat. And they're like, no, fucking hell yeah, sir.
As you said earlier, is this the same White House who threw out the Biden executive order that capped insulin prices on Medicare at $35?
Yes. On January 20th, the very first day in office, I might
could not wait to do it.
Right. President Trump rescinded several Biden-era drug pricing policies, including Executive Order 14087, which had directed the Department of Health and Human Services to explore new payment models to lower drug price or drug costs for Medicare and Medicaid beneficiaries. However, it's important to note that key provisions in the Inflation Reduction Act, such as the 35 monthly insulin cap and Medicare's authority to negotiate certain drug prices, remain in effect. So I would like to just point out, when people are like, drug prices are too high, he rescinded them, causing prices to go back up to where they were before Joe Biden was president. You're bitching and complaining about it. And now here he comes to solve a problem he created, which is a very Donald Trump thing. And he's not even doing it in a way that makes sense. We're just going to make the prices lower.
Right. So basically what he's doing is this executive order like requires drug companies to sell direct to consumer at most favored nation price points. So basically whatever the lowest price they sell to a country is, that's the price that he wants it sold direct to Americans from the drug companies. I don't know how you plan on enforcing that.
Yeah. Why would?
But good luck to you. Yeah.
So this is an executive order, so it's not a law. Mm-hmm. There is nothing that the drug companies have to follow. They can just do it if they're scared. Right. So then what? So when they don't do it, what happens?
Well, then he's saying that if they don't listen, then RFK Jr. is going to propose a rulemaking plan to impose most favored nation pricing. Again, to your point, unless you pass a law, you're accomplishing not much of anything.
Right. But again, okay, I hate to.
You might be able to do it through Medicare and Medicaid. That's about the only control that the executive.
But they already have the right. But they already have the ability to negotiate drug prices. Right. He did not kill that. Here's my thing. I hate saying this because it actually might give them an idea. You could probably get Democrats on board for this.
Sure.
Right? You could. This is actually, if you didn't try to do this by fiat and just said, hey, let's draft some legislation, reasonable legislation that said, hey, this fucking favorite nation fucking shit, it needs to be this price. Democrats are not going to go out on a limb and say no and not help that pass, because that's going to help people for real. But here's the thing that I know will happen. They're not actually going to do the work because they don't believe in that. So they would rather win on style points and accomplish nothing than to actually sit down and do something and get Democrats to come along and get a real win. Get a real
here's
win.
all you need to know. Here's all you need to know.
Here's
Here's fun fact. Donald Trump's been in office the second time around for almost 4 months now. Guess how many executive orders he signed this go around already?
I don't know. Is it over 100?
100 over 150 at this point.
Yeah.
Guess how many bills he signed into law?
Maybe like 2.
No, it's not 0. It's not 0. But you only need one hand.
Right. I was gonna say 2 or 3.
It's 5. 5.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
You have control of all of Congress. But they can't get anything done.
Yeah.
They can't get anything done. Because they're not good at governing. They're bomb throwers. That's what they're really good at.
But also, to your point, he's not interested in Congress doing it because then he can't get the
credit. That's right.
That's all he fucking wants.
The funny thing is, he could still get credit. You came out, you're like, my fat friend is not working or whatever. I went to Congress. Congress did it. I signed the thing. Just fucking sign the thing. Who cares, right? But he would rather win on style points than to do the work. This is one of the great moments in politics that you could absolutely trap your opponents because they do actually believe in trying to lower drug prices. You could trap them and get the win. But fundamentally, the Republican Party is so in bed with drug companies ripping the shit out of fucking the American public. They're never going to do it. So Donald Trump says this thing. I signed an executive order. Look what I did. Most people who don't know jack shit will go, he fucking did it. They'll look at their drug prices. They'll be exactly the same, and they'll go, he fucking did it. Right? Because they don't know, right? They're not paying attention, or cognitive dissonance. They just allow themselves to believe an objective lie. And then Congress will do nothing. And then midterms will come up and Democrats will go, he didn't do shit. And they'll go, you signed an executive order, baby. Like, that's got to mean something. But it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything because they're not in the business of doing the work. So no, I'm not a person of like, oh, they're going to do it. They're not going to do it. When I saw this story, I didn't even bother reading it because they're not going to do it. They're not going to do shit. They're not going to do shit. Also, look, maybe I will change I'll change the link so that you guys can see. Donald Trump is standing in this story. Donald Trump is surrounded on both sides by RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz has dyed his hair blonde so that he can fit in with Donald Trump. I just want to point that out. That's very weird.
and Jay had to point this out to me because I saw like a picture of Dr. Oz and I was like, oh wow, he's gone even grayer since he ran for Senate. Nope. No, that is a bad dye job. Just as I said before the show, like if you're gonna do that, like you can't go halfway. You gotta apply the bronzer. You gotta do it all. Like the reason it works for Trump is because he's got the contrast in colors there. Like it doesn't work if you go full towhead. Like that's not gonna work out for you.
No, it's not enough. Yeah, you got to go all in. I just find these guys to be bizarre to me. Like just really bizarre individuals that would think that this makes sense. But they don't do the work. They don't
of course
do the work. They don't do the work. All right. That is it for this mini episode. It's really weird because we were like getting on a roll here, but
we didn't. We're not doing the work. We're stopping the work.
Yeah, we're done. We're out of here. So we will be back on Monday with another little mini episode. So we will see you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.